Chapter 34. We need to get you dry. Damn it, Cora! What were you thinking? Harold shouted over the rotor noises as he pulled her arm towards camp. She yanked it away, marching alongside him, fuming. Back at his tent, Harold wrapped her in a blanket and tried to get her to drink some hot chocolate. When Coraline had finished her very detailed rambling monologue about the evils of that fucking dirt, as she was now calling Sasha, he bravely attempted an interjection. Okay, I get all that, but what was that back there? About you in the future? Well, you took the same shit I did. Didn't you see anything? Visions or hallucinations, or whatever they were? She asked, feeling more than a little paranoid and crazy. No, man. Yeah, it was strange and all. Stranger than anything I could dream up. But this stuff affects a particular type of person like you way more than a... What did Sasha call you? A Reggie? Harold said, laughing. What a dipshit. She can't even deliver a proper burn. But look, I'm smart and drop dead sexy. But you're a genius, so... Shit, I don't know. Maybe there has to be a certain level of... She kissed him hard on the mouth. He was smart and drop dead sexy. And yes, she was much more intelligent, but he was a good man. Hell, a great man. And whatever the future had in store, she wanted him right there next to her. When Coraline released his collar, smiling, she returned to problem-solving mode. We need to leave, just like they did, and soon. I mean, the things Sasha was doing here. What with the generic products, the research, and all the private security? She would have directives, right? Shredding, burning, and acid baths. Destroying anything that might lead us to her precious, stupid black seeds, Coraline snarled. From everything they knew about Sasha, scorched earth did seem like a phrase she would have used. Or casually jotted down in a composition notebook under the category of maybes? She would have plans, inside riddles, inside puzzles, inside... Well, apparently titanium briefcases. They needed to raid that security tent immediately and take as much as possible. Hit the easy button and get back to... Well, where exactly was home now? His place in Austin or hers in Houston? They hadn't really discussed it, with everything that happened since, well, day one. She guessed it didn't matter as long as she was back in the U.S., with a malleable legal system and her hacker friends for an occasional alley-oop. All right then, you ready? Harold asked in a rare instance of bravado. Soon they were behind the big base camp tent, sneaking like pros through the tall grass and bushes. Harold posted himself as sentry, far enough into the jungle to be hidden, but close enough to alert Coraline if someone approached. She hurriedly emptied the first tote and then a second, likewise filled with the magic chews, into her duffel bags. Burning time, Coraline raced around the tent, looking for anything else worth taking. But after a pause, she left the money and other valuables, fearing dye packs, tracking chips, or arrest. And right now, crooked cops and straight cops were an equal threat to their departure. Coraline gave a short, shrill whistle, and Harold whistled back the all clear. As she exited the security tent, Harold ran to her side, taking one of the bags. After slipping back into camp, Coraline took a few scry cubes and glasses, adding them to their bursting luggage. Once alone in their tent, they packed in record time. But Harold insisted that they take a beat to chug water and collect themselves with some deep breathing. Shouldn't we just go? Do we really need to explain ourselves to Kelly and Evan? Coraline hissed with an unveiled tinge of disdain. Harold gave her a look. She read it as, You know I love you, goddess, but play nice with the lesser humans, would ya? Their final analysis was that it might raise less suspicion if they acted typically and sacrificed some precious time with the usual social niceties. So, with an electric cart loaded to the gills, they drove as calmly as possible over to the couple's tent. Despite Coraline's compelling argument for all of them to leave together, Kelly and Evan decided to stay and work on their own research, but only on Sasha's dime. This was the spot they had conceived, after all. With warm yet awkward hugs, Coraline and Harold jumped back in the cart, pushed the start button, and headed for the landing pad, Kelly and Evan waving in the rearview mirror. As they sat on the duffel bags, waiting for the next helicopter, Coraline felt like she could finally relax. Come to think of it, she felt pretty fucking awesome right now. She had found a new life partner, gone toe-to-toe with Sasha, and pilfered enough cutting-edge tech and drugs to do, well, something. Something big, yeah. Surprised that the chopper even came back, Coraline relented that, if nothing else, Sasha was full serve. She may have lied and deceived them all, but it seemed her last promises had indeed been kept. Staring over at Harold, swaddled with micro-fleece and snoozing away, she kept rehashing the last month, too wired to sleep yet. Oddly, the thought of Sasha having any dimensionality other than supreme asshole of the universe really pissed Coraline off. Mainly because it was confusing, and it took the fun out of hating her so much. Of course, Coraline had nuances to her reasoning and judgments as well. Yes, she could see the good and evil in everything and everyone, blah blah. But, fuck her over even once. You just went too damn far, Sasha. You never go full evil genius. Every budding supervillain knows that, Coraline said to an empty cabin with a smirk. Glad to have a private moment, Coraline retrieved one of the random, innocuous-looking shoes from her pocket and opened it, quietly. But this time, Coraline took a moment to see if she could pick out the ingredients' notes with a focused, discerning sniff. Citrusy, like orange juice concentrate. An acidic base of some sort. I assume as a flavoring agent, but also, perhaps to help extract alkaloids. Hints of tobacco, coffee, spices. It is labeled Deep Time, and what's more timeless than that lot? Traded around the world ever since the first brave idiot sailed out into the ancient ocean, Coraline whispered, afraid her ramblings might rouse Harold. Temporarily satiated, she left the rest of Sasha's magical munchies for another day. As she nursed the sweet candy, the stealthy concoction crept under her tongue and sublingually walked right past the unlocked front door of her mind. Hours later, after she and Harold had transitioned from chopper to private jet, Coraline wouldn't remember the flight home, the entire flight. It was the strangest, most poetic effect yet. On-demand dissociative amnesia. Vanishing, then re-emerging at a different point in your own personal timeline, but without having to slog through the endless repetitions of talk, eat, shit, sleep. And yet, the ability to recall all of it without permanent memory loss. Like the moments at the river, but more pronounced, more intentional, directable. As their plane touched down, whatever the trigger had been to pop her head back on, it was sudden and willful. Intentional, yet unnamed. Sensical, yet chaotic. Call the trip what you will, but Coraline secretly chose to dub it time travel.